Untitled. 1 week on from perhaps the craziest finish we've ever seen in WOR, and particularly Tier 3. Welcome back to the second round of the WOR Tier 3 season here on Xbox, and we are here at Imola for this evening's race, and just one night on from Event 2 of F1 Esports Challengers. I am joined today once again by the most recent Xbox winner, race winner at Portimao. It's none other than Zach Oates. That sounds so good to say. Your audio isn't included. I had to check on the stream.
I'm glad you've noticed it before I've carried on there. But basically, to say what I've just said, I'm glad to be back. Belgium was a mental race. I think we were both shocked of the finish there with Rossi. But we're back with Imola now, and I'm sure it's going to be as good as it was last week.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank God we got that audio sorted out. Just to reply to Steve F1 there. No, that was just me checking the audio while I could, because I know what people are like.
I'm a bit new to this, and we've seen that. Though.
It's alright, genuinely, don't worry. But yeah, last time out it was, of course, the Belgian cheater who took the race win from pole position at Spa. Obviously a wonderful moment for him, and obviously he very much inherited that from such error, because obviously the spin happened just going into the final sector, so obviously Cheetah was pretty much down and out. He couldn't quite make the overtake, but Flying Rossi, he'd spun. Win was his. We also had TTM Caesar on the podium in P2 after getting a 10-second time penalty removed, because he didn't actually gain anything from it. And Jam Pancakes made a return to the podium, but he isn't with us tonight. His spot is taken by Sam29M, so hopefully he can do well in his place, because we have pretty much at the moment a 3-team battle shaping up between Alpine, McLaren and Ferrari. Obviously those are the teams that finished in the top 3 last time out, but I wouldn't rule out teams still like Aston Martin, who, although they didn't score any points last week despite being the reigning Constructors champions, I still think they have plenty to answer for coming into Imola and the rest of the seasons. The Humperdinck goes quickest. Is that beaten by half? No, it's not, but just 8/1000 separate them in these intermediate conditions.
No, yeah, as you say, last week, obviously we saw the new team lineups, and I said straight away I thought the McLarens are going to be definitely up there, and as we saw, they definitely were up until Rossi crashed, but still great scorings. But I still think the Aston Martins are playing the extra bit of practice for this week, and they're going back even stronger. And as we can see, straight out the blocks in conditions that they probably wouldn't have prepared as much in. P2 and P3 straight away, good starts.
Yeah, decent stuff there. FRT Blackie on provisional pole now with a 23.6. Typical F1 there, going up to 5th, and Cheetah going provisionally on the front row as well. Let's go further down. Watch Steve F1. He's just starting a flying lap. We've got Adam Dude, who, if I'm right in saying, won at this race last season in Tier 3. I will double check that very shortly, but Adam Do crossing the line and going 11th here. Shazoo Savoy making his way up Aqua Minerale. We've got Flying Rossi, who obviously will want to repair the damage done to not only himself but my voice last week, as he heads down now towards Rivazza and the double left-hander turn 17 and turn 18. Bit wide, but obviously can afford that in the slippery conditions. Flying Rossi making his way up to the nut line now, and it's a 24/7 not to give at this moment in time.
No, yeah, we can definitely see Rossi will be definitely trying to fill out the conditions. Obviously, I'm not sure how good Rossi's pace is on the wet this game. Obviously, in the dry, we know he has got some, well, pretty race-winning pace. Let's be honest about this. As long as he can keep it on the track, which obviously last week he didn't. This week he definitely, as we see him go to the gravel there, he obviously seems to be struggling straight away. But obviously, you know, we've still got plenty of time left in the session. 12 minutes is Cheetah. 0.1.
Cheetah.
Yeah, it's a great start to the race winner from last week. Building on that confidence, he's going to be a menace for this season and definitely could be battling for the championship.
I agree, and obviously it's not the first time we've heard Cheetah at Imola in the last week. Had to get it in there somewhere, and well, yeah, Imola. Tier 1, of course, in Xbox this week. Late drama between Shadow and WOR Alfie. Obviously, the two quickest on the platform right now, of course. Shadow trying to let Alfie go through so he could have the DRS, but obviously he just slowed down that little bit too much and it caused contact, and ultimately Alfie finished 4th in the end. And there was a 15-second time penalty handed out to Shadow, and that rule is now across all tiers and all the remaining events this week. So drivers going to have to be careful of that. Hopefully we don't see a repeat as KTFE Kevin makes it to the Alpine 1-2 at the moment, and the times are tumbling.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking on the Tier 1 from Monday, obviously I wasn't too happy with watching what Shadow did. Obviously, I was a bit further back in that race, I had a few mistakes, but after seeing what Shadow did, I wasn't too impressed. So I will hoping to see none of that tonight. Obviously, I know this track is, well, obviously renowned for that DRS straight. It's very easy to make an overtake, but it's just not real racing. We want to see racing to the flag. No, none of that funny business. Just pure in and out, wheel-to-wheel battling.
Yeah, well said. Of course, Shadow, the man you beat last night, and well, nobody in the world saw it, so it's almost as if it didn't happen. But obviously, here we'll try to catch all of the action this evening where possible. We do have the freedom of that, of course. But TCC Iron next to cross the line. This one isn't going to mean anything. It's a 29.1 as he crosses the line to go P18. Caesar out there squirming up Aqua Minerale. And Invalid anyway. Squidges out there. I don't think improving, but he is in. Coming to the end of Sector 1 now. He's run onto the gravel, keeps it going, and has lost time and might well abort this lap. Steve F1. Another Ferrari making his way up Aqua Minerale. And let's see his second sector split time. He's about 8 tenths up. Well, this could put him on the front row as it stands. Let's just hope he doesn't lose any of that time, and he might have lost some there, as he gets a lot of wheel spin coming off a Variante outer and now plunges down the hill. Heavy braking zone of Ravazza. Difficult to spot, of course. He can run wide into that gravel trap. And rounding the final corner now comes Steve F1. Sticks to the inside for the shortest run to the line, where he beats KTFE Kevin by 2/1000ths of a second, even in the wet.
Nah, that's a good lap there from Steve. Obviously, we did see him lose some time out of chicane, which even though obviously he'll be disappointed about, when he goes for another run, he'll know have that extra bit of time in that lap. So if he can just hook up the rest of it, he could be definitely on for poles. Obviously, right now he's on provisional, but I'm sure we're going to see the time start tumbling as we look down to Big Rosa. He is on a lap now, the last corner. I'm pretty sure he is up on his time. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do in these conditions. Unfortunately, only P11.
Only gained another one position there, but he does displace the Humperdinck, who is heading in towards Tamburello now. So, yeah, a lot of pressure on him, a lot of pressure on Harv as well. Harv up in P6, and I must also add, happy 20th birthday as well to Harv. Yeah, hopefully we can have him in the podium interview room, as that's the Humperdinck, and sliding off the track again, coming out of Variante Villeneuve, and that is not going to bode well for his confidence. Obviously, he had an absolute stinker of a race in Spa, spinning out a couple of times and ultimately DNFing. Well, he didn't. Yes, he did DNF. No, he didn't. Yes, he did DNF. It was a double Aston Martin DNF. Had to look twice there.
Yeah, obviously, I think we were all absolutely shocked with how the Humperdinck did. Obviously, the champion of last season, one of the favourites in one of the favourite cars, obviously him and Harv, great duo, and he just didn't deliver. obviously made so many mistakes, which we're all surprised about. All rookie mistakes, in my opinion, which he will be looking to bounce back on. But it isn't looking too good right now. I'm sure he's going to be very disappointed with the fact that it's into condition qualifying. I'm sure he's done plenty of practice in the dry, but I reckon this has caught him out by surprise. So he's going to need to adapt to the conditions quickly because he can't be qualifying in 12th.
Meanwhile, his teammate Harv is just starting a lap as typical F1 goes to the top of the timesheets and does dip well into the 1 minute 22s. It's a 22.7, and now drivers seeing that lap time are going to have to answer that. And KTFE Kevin does just that immediately. We're seeing the track ramp up now, plenty more grip and plenty of room for even quicker times in the last 6 minutes or so.
Yeah, like I said earlier, the times are starting to tumble. Obviously, the track's getting more grippy, and more importantly, the drivers are getting more adapted in terms of conditions. A lot more, as Kevin does make a bit of a mistake there, but he is on the provisional pile. It's a great lap from Kevin to put himself about 2 tenths clear of the field as it stands. Obviously, like I said, I don't think that will stand because I feel the times will tumble. We've got people like, obviously, the Humperdinck and Harv who will be looking to get some laps on the board, and I expect Blackie, because I feel like Blackie does have a lot of pace and he couldn't really show it at Belgium. I think he made a few mistakes, but he will be looking to bounce back, and I think he might be on the pad as well. Don't quote me on that, but obviously pad does favour the wet conditions.
And the Humperdinck, there we go, that's better, that's more like it from Humperdinck, and he goes up to P3. I believe he started 4th at Belgium, because I remember him getting position off the start for 3rd, so yeah, that is more like it from the Humperdinck. He just needs that consistency, he needs that in the race as well to go after that illustrious 4th WOR championship, of course. We're seeing a lot of drivers make their way now into the final sector. I think the first low's crossing the line. It's Adam Dude going back up to 3rd place, and he was just beaten by the Humperdinck there, but he takes that back for himself.
Yeah, Adam Dude, yeah. Adam Dude did show a few it was a pace as he does go off and just missed the wall at the first corner. He's very lucky to still be in the session. But yeah, like I said, he showed hints of pace at Belgium. I think he got involved in an unlucky battle with the Humperdinck in that, though, which was, well, a very good battle for us to watch, but I'm sure he would not have been enjoying the battle for his race, personally. But as we look down the field, obviously we're still with drivers like Flying Rossi, who is still down in 15th, and Sam29M, who did, I think, qualified quite well at Belgium, down there in 20th place. These drivers, I don't know if they're not favouring the conditions, but they're going to need to find something with 4 minutes left.
Absolutely, and I am just going to correct what I said earlier. It wasn't Adam Dude who won at Imola. I know he did win a race last season. That was actually at Abu Dhabi. The race winner was Flying Rossi here at Imola in Tier 3. And that, of course, was at the back end of the season where he was just a completely different animal in WOR Tier 3. He started off very strong. There is no denying his performance at the first round at Spa was absolutely terrific, bar that. But here goes Flying Rossi, the man, the myth, the legend, crossing the line to start a huge flying lap in the context of this whole season, you'd imagine. Because, you know, he's dropped 15 points from that spin at Spa and now needs to get a good track position to be on the front foot here in Imola.
Yeah, absolutely. He's done that first corner pretty nicely, nice and tidy. Obviously better than I could do in the Challenger Series. I've been off in a wall by now. As we've seen come through the first set, but he's 4 attempts up already, which is, well, it's pretty mega on a tight grid like this. Obviously, as he loses the back end though, and Rossi, I don't know if he's just pushing too hard, but he needs to calm himself down and just try and, even if it's just to get up into the top 10, he can't be starting outside the top 10 because it'd be so hard to overtake on Imola, and ERS is so important to save.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, he's almost gone round again. You have to say, maybe some of these drivers using the dry setups, I'm actually quite unaware of the weather going into the race. So this should be interesting, as I believe Harv has just gone 5th fastest Steve F1 and Blackie currently occupying the second row, which I didn't mention at the time. KTFE Kevin and Typical F1 out there on outlaps as well. Steve F1 making his way down now in towards Ravazza. He was about half a tenth down in the second sector. And now making his way into the final corner of them all. Turn 18, technically turn 19, is this short kink before the line. And he goes onto the front row by just 1,000th of a second.
Yeah, that's just showing how close this is right now, Steve. 1,000th in the wet, that is unbelievably close, obviously. It is even in the dry, but in the wet, obviously, such little errors are going to be happening from these drivers. And, wow. But the front row, Steve is going to be very happy with that. But this is like 1 minute 30 left, and he's 2 tenths up through the Sector 1 split. He's not done here.
And Cheetah onto the front row. Cheetah goes onto the front row with a 22.650, reinstating that Alpine 1-2. At the moment, KTFE Kevin is a second down and invalid on this run, but he will be able to go again and try and extend that margin on pole position. Adam Dude is out there. The Humperdinck is off the track. The Humperdinck, who is now 3 tenths down, may well wave bye-bye to this lap in particular. TMS Amaze, 12 seconds down, just quite seeing where everyone's at the moment. Typical F1 in the Mercedes. It's now stopped raining, so any longer in this session we'd have been talking about slick tyres. But in fact, that does mean the track conditions are pretty optimal for these intermediate tyres, as an Alfa Romeo goes off there in the background of Alitz or ETE Liam. I'm not quite sure at the moment, but Typical F1 is absolutely flying. Steve F1 has just retaken that front row spot there from Cheetah. Typical F1 is now invalid. This one won't count either. KTFE Kevin. Oh, DRS is actually enabled. This could be crucial for anyone who is able to start another lap. They will gain so much time down that straight. FRT Heaven crashing out there as well. Squidge has also retired here. This is wide open now. KTFE Kevin is down, running off the track. I think we might have just about hit the peak. And Typical F1 crossing the line, of course, invalid as well. FRT Blackie taking the checkered flag in 5th there as Harv rounding the final corner. He's also invalid, as is Adam Dude. And I think it's going to be an anticlimactic end here, Zach.
You say that, but as we see, Humperdinck through the Sector 1 split has gone 5 tenths clear. That is a mega first sector. The problem is, though, the Humperdinck and the track conditions he's on right now, is that even though DRS is enabled, they're on the intermediates. It's going to be slippery. It's going to be greasy. The intermediates don't work in yet. There you go. As just proven. Like I say, when it gets too dry, it's still that little bit of awareness on the track. It's just too slippery for the intermediates. They overheat. They slide around. But yeah, there is a bit anticlimactic to the end. Obviously, as we see, no one can really improve. It was just too slippery for him.
Yeah, you can really see it in the way the drivers are driving at the moment. Limp Jet making his way in towards Ravazza. There is a very dry line. It is slick tyre time right now. Oh, it's such a shame. A few minutes earlier, and that would have been an absolutely blissful end to qualifying. Anyone could have taken pole there, but you have to say, Limp Jet, fair play there, getting up into the top 10, improving on his track position. It was really tight down towards the ends of the top 10 into the bottom 10 as well. But yeah, great qualifying there from Steve F1 for Ferrari. KTFE Kevin on the front row.
Yeah, absolutely. And problem is that even though it does get slippery, it is hard. If you can get that last lap in, keep it nice and tight, get the tyres low, don't even eat them too much, you will get a lap in like Limp Jet just did. And also I think Steve did a lap right at the end, which nearly got in pole position. So it wasn't all at the end, but obviously drivers struggling way too much to put in optimal lap time. But KTFE Kevin takes pole position at round 2.
Absolutely, of course. The reserve driver coming in today for NUFC, Ryan, who is watching on in the Twitch chat. I'm sure he'll want his Alpine team to get plenty of points today for when hopefully he inevitably returns next week. And I think his Wi-Fi had some issue. Oh, voice crack. Had some issues pre-race, so he wasn't able to take part in this one. 1-3 for the Constructor Championship leaders. But Ferrari, third place in the Constructors as well. Steve F1 taking the Scarlet Red, famous Italian beast, to the front row there. His teammate Dan in 12th season, we know what he can do, particularly in the dry conditions. There's so many drivers kind of out of position as well. You have to say Flying Rossi, Alex, drivers like Hainan as well, Amazed, Caesar. There's a lot of drivers down there, and I think this is going to be a brilliant race should it stay dry.
Yeah, exactly as you say. We've got plenty of the grid is jumbled up heavily. As we can see, many drivers are down the field, like Rossi and Alex and Caesar, obviously down in 12. Very surprising because we do know he does have the pace and that. But then we've also got obviously people like Steve who didn't do this well at Belgium, so he's definitely coming in with a new attitude now, and well, a great lap time. But we've also got Harv and Humperdinck, you know, the favourites going into the season. Who's done not probably the qualifying they would have been like properly hoping for, but it's a safe one. It's a 6th and an 8th. They're there or thereabouts. They've got something to prove on now. Let's see how they can do in the rest.
It's a tight qualifying here in the intermediate conditions. So again, hoping to see what the race has to offer. If we're actually going to race anytime soon, I swear to God, we've had about 3 lobby restarts. If this has to be a 4th or whatever, we're going to be going all night, everyone.
I think we're getting a 4th here, yeah. This game just showing class. It's just like when we did WI Imola for me, I just got up the DRS train and got a screen freeze, which ruined the whole race. Which is obviously, if the race is dry, it's going to be so important for these guys as well. They're going to need to stay in that DRS train because, as we do get a release already up, so it should be fine for now. But like I was saying, these drivers it's going to be so important for them to stay on the DRS train and use not that much ERS. That's just what this track's all about. It's about staying in the DRS range and saving your ERS. It'll be interesting how the drivers like Rosin that come through the pack, considering they've got to do it without using too much ERS.
Those sunny skies could not be any more of an opposite circumstance to what we saw in qualifying. That's great news here. We're going to get a fantastic race. DRS is definitely going to be enabled, and hopefully we won't have too much stroppy fighting over it. Well, I say that. Who knows? Even though there's a rule.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting how these drivers also handle themselves into turn 1. Obviously, it's obviously still a new track. Obviously, I know they did it last season, but you know the first corner is a chicane pretty much. It's a faster version of a chicane, but in the race it's going to be a lot slower. They're going to be side by side. We might even see 3 wide into turn 1, which we don't want to be seeing because I think that's a guaranteed crash. But it's going to be interesting how these drivers, especially the front guys, obviously they're going to be gunning for that P1, P2 position. They've got to do it for a chicane into turn 1. So they've got to keep it nice and tidy, keep their wings, because at the start of the race they've got to keep themselves composed. 32 laps this race is. It's gonna be so it's just gonna be interesting how this start goes. I'm hoping for no crashes, but obviously full grids. A lot of drivers eager to get some more championship points, especially Rossi, who is now down in 16th.
Just 5 seconds until green for the formation lap here at the 4.9 kilometre Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari, commonly known, of course, as Imola. Current home of the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix and our only race in Italy in WOR this season. Look at that for tyre choice. A very firm mixture of softs and mediums. And talking strategy, of course, we are going to see perhaps those one stops either way with softs and medium tyres. But of course, an early safety car or a late safety car could blow that out of proportion. Just your thoughts on the strategy situation here, Zach?
Well, yeah, as you can see, it's an interesting one. It's good to see for us, though. Obviously, we've literally got half the grid choosing the softer compound. We've got half the grid choosing the harder compound in the mediums, which is going to make a very interesting race of strategy. Even though if it was me, I'd have probably gone for the mediums because the DRS train's going to be hard to overtake. But the problem is there is an early safety car. I'm pretty sure mediums can go a long way, so the people starting on mediums may get caught out with an early safety car.
Absolutely. If there's any benefits of a wet qualifying session, it means that sometimes we see things like this, where people can't really make their minds up of what tyres to go for.
Yeah.
There's certainly drivers in the field that have probably felt that way. Softs or mediums, I don't know. I haven't prepared for this situation with a wet qualifying. But yeah, KTFE Kevin, though, crucially has gone for the soft tyres. Maybe just playing it as aggressive as he can. Being the reserve driver in perhaps the team to beat at the moment. Cheetah in P3. Steve F1 is the filling in the Alpine sandwich as they form up the grid for a 32-lap race at Imola.
Yeah, I think Kevin's gone for the perfect strategy, to be honest. He started on the softs. He's on pole position. 2 people behind him on the medium tyres. But he's got to go for it. He's got to break that DRS straight away. And it's going to be interesting how he does it. Hopefully he's got some good race pace. Here's the start of the race.
Absolutely. 20 drivers. Another full grid once again. Welcome back to Imola, everyone. It's our second instalment of Imola in World Online Racing, and the 5 red lights come on ahead of all 20 drivers. Lights out, and away we go in Imola. It's a great start from KTFE Kevin, as you would expect, on those soft compound of tyres. He streaks clear of the field, going down in towards turn 1, the Tamburello chicane then, and Steve F1 and Cheetah follow as they were in second and third. And there's a spin there for Limjet, and the Humperdinck has gone with him. The Humperdinck is off at Varianti Tamburello, and there's no front wing once again on that Aston Martin. It's deja vu of last week. And the Humperdinck, who DNF'd in round 1, is once again on the back foot in round 2.
Oh my God. It's exactly what I expected. Such a tight first corner, everyone gunning for it. I'm sure the Humperdinck wouldn't have been too aggressive. I reckon he's just been caught out there by an incident that Limpjet has been involved in. Couldn't see the incident Limpjet was involved in, but unfortunately he spun off, and the Humperdinck is going to be absolutely fuming. The guy, he started on mediums. I saw him just go carefully into turn 1, but this start of the season is the worst he could have ever hoped for. He would not have been expecting these first 2 rounds to go as the way they have.
Absolutely, virtual safety car, as you can see, all drivers being allowed just a moment there, and that's perhaps what we needed after that start. Any more of that? Wow. But yeah, KTFE Kevin leads the end of the first lap. We'll be waiting for green very shortly. We've almost been under virtual safety car for a full lap here, and I think KTFE Kevin has got a move on. He's right at top speed, and there we go, back to green. And I think KTFE Kevin has got that just right, and on the soft tyres where he looks to just break DRS straight away, get a move on, fly off into the distance. He's made a good start of that. 7 tenths now, though, as Steve F1 and Cheetah start to reel him in a bit. This could go really either way with this strategy.
Yeah, it's a perfect start there for Kevin. It's exactly what he needs to do. He needs to be so aggressive here. He does. I know I said don't use the DRS, but he needs to use it. He needs to get out of this DRS range and just break away. Let them battle behind, because it's so important for him to get away on them softs. Because if he doesn't, then the alt strat is just pretty much gonna take out any possible chance of him really doing well in this race. As he's halved.
Oh, hello, half.
There's a big cut to chicane there. That's going to be a warning straight away. But P3 for half. Great start from 6.
A move at Varianti Alta from Harv, and he overtakes the championship leader Cheetah. Is Harv back in business on his birthday? Let's hope so, as we start lap 3 of 32, and the DRS is now enabled with KTFE Kevin streaking clear of that 1 second mark. Side by side now as typical F1 overtakes Cheetah, of course. Harv and typical F1 on those soft tyres, so Cheetah has not quite got the grip to fight back with them on race pace at the moment. We've got a yellow flag, and the Humperdinck, who was just picked for the hard compound of tyre, has gone off again.
Oh my, Humperdinck, what's you doing, mate? I'm absolutely distraught for him, to be honest, because I'm pretty sure this is his last league racing season, and coming into
Yeah.
it, he would have at least wanted to fight for the championship. Even if he didn't win it, he would have been right involved in that. Get his name out there, again, have a nice, fun season. But this just isn't fun for him. He is going to carry on at least, though. Thank God we ain't seen him retire, because there's a long race to go yet. We never know the safety cars, but this is the worst possible start to a race.
Absolutely, yeah. It cannot get much worse than that. We've also seen Blackie and Amazed in. I believe they may well have picked up some damage as well on lap 1. There was a lot of tussling in there. I think anyone, no matter who your name is, how you drive, whatever, could have been caught up in that, as KTFE Kevin sets another fastest lap, but that's beaten by typical F1, who's really getting a move on. Up to 4th now is the Mercedes driver. He stays where he started though, and here goes half the long way round at Tamburello. He looks to the inside now at turn 3, the second part of the chicane. He's got a great run. He forces Steve F1 to have a think about where he's going to defend this one. Half tries to stick his nose up the inside, and again tries another switchback on the exit of Variante Villeneuve. He's got to go the long way round into Toza turn 7. Can the Aston Martin driver hold it the long way round? Yes, he can. Half, what a brilliant move from him. He's up to P2.
Yeah, that's an absolutely fantastic move there from Harv. It's exactly what you need to do. You need to be so aggressive. And Alex is now at the racing virtual safety car. Oh, that
second virtual
could
safety
still
car.
be a full safety car, but for now, we don't obviously Kevin, who's done perfectly so far in this race, will not be wanting a safety car. He's a good 3 seconds ahead with 20%. Well, he did have about 20%. It's now back to even ERS now between him and Harv. But no, that's a great start for Kevin. Harv, aggressive, exactly what he needed to do. He couldn't sit around behind the medium runner of Steve. And now he's in P2. It'd be good to see what his pace is like compared to the leader, Kevin.
Yeah, indeed. Alex there, who I think spun on the exit of Villeneuve, but retired, and then his obviously car kept on going. So yeah, that's what has caused the virtual safety car. Back-to-back DNFs for Alex, of course. Finishing races has never been his biggest thing. It certainly was the case last season, but unfortunately for Alex, it was definitely bad luck last week with his contact with, I believe it was Blackie, and he looked like he was on for a podium, the Spaniards, but yeah, it's game over on lap 3.
Yeah, it's not exactly what he would want for his season, and
4.
obviously he has
Steve
retired
F1.
on track, but Steve F1 obviously getting a bit aggressive straight away on the medium tyres. He's not going to be wanting to give up these positions eagerly, and as we saw with Harv, he did give it a good fight. But he's doing P3. He's doing well, to be fair to him, against the other 3 people around him on soft tyres.
Absolutely, and it almost cost him position to typical F1. Adam Dude waiting in the wings as well, as is Cheetah and Caesar. Great start from Caesar, but he's side by side at the moment with Squidge. As Squidge goes up the inside of the Mercedes, Caesar tries to fight it around the outside here at Ravazza in the final corner. Oh, he almost gets squeezed off the track there. That could have been pretty hefty contact between the two, but the Mercedes squeezes through. Squidge is up to 7th now, and the DRS train at the moment as Steve F1 tries to fight back on half. Oh, there's contact between the two. Steve F1 has to take to the gravel. There's 3 cars at the moment up his inside, and the Ferrari goes from 3rd to a mere 6th.
That's disappointing to see. I did say Steve wanted to be aggressive, and it was looking good for him, but yeah, it's probably a bit over-aggressive there. There's no point going for the move on half there. That was a bit of a stupid move in my opinion. Unfortunately, it has cost him a good 3 or 4 positions there, and crucially, a 1 to a medium runner. That's awful for his race, and now he's going to be under pressure from Squidge, who's looking very quick on their medium tyres.
Have a look at the position changes at the moment. Flying Rozzy has gained 7 positions, up to 9th. Heaven 8, up to 10th. Sam 29 M has gained positions as well. Heaven, never mind. Never mind.
His great race has gone in the
FRT
bin now,
Heaven,
unfortunately.
He went off at Spa.
Very easy to do,
time.
and he goes off again. Unfortunately for yeah, I saw him do it in qualifying. That corner is very tricky in the race. I spun in there at tier one. It's very easy to do. Unfortunately for him, that probably has thrown away the race unless the safety car comes in. But that does promote Sam 29M into the top 10, who did start 20th. So look at him for the rest of the race. He's looking at some great pace, like he did in Belgium. I'm pretty sure, but he's got unfortunately taken out of Belgium, so he's going to look to rectify that today.
Typical F1 now, of course, up to second place with a simple move on half that we saw is leading a very big train, but it's starting to separate a little bit as Steve F1 just backs up Squidge and Rozzy and Caesar just a tiny bit here. Flying Rozzy, who overtook Caesar as well for P8 in this race. That means he's now gained 8 positions from the 16th place that he started. Sam29M has got a great opening stint under his belt so far. FRT Heaven becoming the second driver to retire and the second driver to leave. Obviously, no point staying around, is there, in this race? We're about to start the 8th lap of 32, and it's still Kevin holding a great 3-second lead.
Yeah, no, Kevin's doing exactly what he needs to do. Obviously, he's still got 50% ERS, whereas we looked at the driver behind him. Typical. I think he's doing the wrong thing. He's using the WS, he has nothing. And that is, he ain't gonna have any RS for the rest of the race because it's gonna be so hard to save. So unfortunately, Typical may have thrown his race already, but Kevin doing beautifully out front, just controlling the gap. He doesn't need to push too hard because obviously he's got that gap, he's on the softs, and he's doing really well. Obviously, we looked at the drivers behind. Steve is now really under pressure from the flying Rozzy. You see a yellow flag. I think that's our last corner of F. I think Blackie has unfortunately spun, which just unfortunately makes his race even worse. But here comes flying Rozzy, who looks down the inside now into the last right-hander.
Whoa!
Rozzy very aggressive and wow, what a move! He gets the move done with Steve F1.
Oh, wow! Flying Rozzy making us excited for all the right reasons once again. He is honestly the most entertaining drivers to watch, and he pulls off moves like that. Clean, perfect. That was absolutely just Aqua Minerale, making a move up the inside. I think that deserves a standing ovation, but now that is not the time at the moment, as Adam Dude is in fact coming at Harv here, and Harv's got to defend. Harv is also gaining on Typical F1. Adam Dude might be boxed in before he knows it, and Harv tries to snatch the position back, and he does so perfectly. Fair play there to Harv. Pretty much perfect defending. Adam Dude had nowhere to go because Harv was still there, and he took the position back from the Williams. Another yellow flag. I think it's a bit further back. It's now cleared up, so we don't need to worry about the threat of a virtual safety car or safety car again. Although at this stage in the race, that would promote the soft runners perhaps taking an early pit stop.
Yeah, it's I'm for no safety car right now. Obviously, especially Kevin won't be looking for one, especially flying Rozzy, because he's up in the P6 now, and he's, like I said earlier, it's about the ERS management, and he's got plenty of it. 70% ERS, whereas it's someone in front of Cheetah who's on good management. But obviously, Typical up in second has got nothing, and he's the guy leading the train. So if Rozzy can manage to get into the DRS train, which I think he can do on them soft tyres that are still working for him, he's in a beautiful position in this race. Already up into the top 6. It's been a great start from the flying Rozzy man.
Harv is under pressure once again here. This time Adam Dude has got no one to box him in, and he breezes past Harv. On the day where he turns 20, Harv, who was up in P2 for a significant period of time, is now down in P4, now P5, as I think he's got off the track momentarily. And Cheetah says thank you very much and takes P4.
Yeah, I just watched that. I think Harv just locked the rears there on the entry of turn 1. Very easy to do. And I think obviously we're just showing first signs of them soft starting to fall off now. But that does work beautifully for Rozzy, as Rozzy will not get DRS if he can keep this gap. But luckily for Harv, on his 20th birthday, is still in the race and still in the train, thankfully for him, from a moment that could have been race ending.
Absolutely, yeah, he'll be grateful for that. He lives to fight another day in this race. It's not over for him. He's driven a much better race so far, you have to say, much better qualifying as well. He was on the back foot from the word go last time out in Spa, and it didn't work out quite well for him. Jesus Savoya, a name I've not really mentioned at all this race, of course, announced publicly his departure from the team he formed, QBR, last week, and, well, made the switch to become a Shizou Xbox manager. And that first week for him has not gone so well in the two races I've covered him in. But yeah, he's down in 14th at the moment, trying to recover now from a spin. We're seeing lots of drivers being victim of spins, and the Ferrari boys invert their cars, maybe deliberately or not deliberately, I'm not so sure. But TTM Caesar up to 7th, replacing Steve F1, who's now down to 8th.
Yeah, it was interesting to see Savoya make that move to Shizou, but obviously he does feel it's time to move on from QBR. He's done a great job with QBR. It looks like a very strong team. Some great drivers in there, so he's done well. He's done his job now. Moves on to Shizou, which we do know he has got some pace as a driver as well. He's not only a manager. Yeah. He has got some good pace as a driver. But obviously today, I don't know if it's just lack of practice, but he just seems to be a bit off it and making a few mistakes.
Absolutely. Oh, and matters are getting worse for Harv. It's a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, and he's now got Flying Rozzy on his tail. This was a battle that we would have seen towards the back end of last season, but now it's taking place on the racetrack in season 12 once again, as into the pits comes Adam Dude. But Flying Rozzy and Harv staying out here, perhaps trying to get a battle started for us. Flying Rozzy in the slipstream. Is Harv going to defend this one? Flying Rozzy to the inside at Tamburello. And that's as easy as you like. But he runs slightly wide, but he does ultimately keep the position and keeps Harv at bay. Flying Rozzy from 16th is up to 4th.
Yeah, that's a great move from there, Flying Rozzy. Exactly the move we need to do. Because obviously Harv did drop out that DRS range. So Rozzy now needs to get a move on and get back into that DRS range, because the problem is now that the drivers ahead of him, like Cheetah, is on the mediums. So Cheetah's tyres are only going to get better, whereas Rozzy's are only going to get worse. So Rozzy will be looking for a pit stop, I imagine, quite soon. But if we look to the lead now, typical F1 has caught the leader. He's got a 3-second gap down to merely nothing. Wow.
Well played, typical F1. And you know who else is in this fight now as well? Cheetah, who's also gained a similar amount of time on the medium tyres as well. So fair play to him as well. Are we going to see the battle on track? No, we're not. KTFE Kevin takes the easy way out of that one before getting involved with anything. He takes his pit stop. He's absolutely blown the life out of those soft tyres, you'd imagine. And he comes in now for mediums, and that leaves typical F1 in the lead. But Cheetah is right on his tail on the mediums, who will surely inherit the lead before you know it.
Yeah, that's this extra lap for Cheetah is going to work beautifully.
Oh!
As you see...
No!
Oh, he takes a spin out of the first corner, out of turn 3. I don't know what's happening now. I imagine he's just got on the curb. But he's so disappointed for the man who was still having a good race, looking for redemption, and looks like it might be race over. Done a P10 without pitting yet. On his 20th birthday wishes haven't come true for him yet, unfortunately.
Absolutely not. And it's another horror show for Aston Martin. I don't think there's any other way to put it. But is this, after 2 rounds of the season, Aston Martin down and out of the championship fight with both drivers as well, not just talking constructors, because of course we're seeing the absolutely fine consistency of this man Cheetah, who will now take the lead of the race as typical F1 comes into the pit lane, and the championship leader that is taking the lead, as I say. Flying Rozzy stays out for another lap though. He has done 13 laps on those soft tyres, and he'll make it 14 by the end of this one.
Yeah, it's surprising actually to see Rozzy stay out, because the problem is with Rozzy, he hasn't got the DRS on Cheetah, so he's just going to lose that extra little bit of time. But he has got the ERS, he's still got 40%, which is solid. But the problem is, you don't want to be using it around this track. So the overcut is going to be quite hard, as we do see him lose time to Cheetah. Obviously the mediums right now are just levels above the softs. So it's surprising. But Rossi will have the fresher tyres at the end of the race. Obviously, with Cheetah flying back through the field on their fresh tyres as well, Rossi will need every bit of tyre he can to fight against someone like Cheetah. So it could be a late plan, a good plan for Rossi later on in the race. But for now, he probably will lose a position to maybe a driver behind.
Absolutely. Seeing Cheetah make his way in towards turn 18 at Ravazza, and obviously he will continue out in the lead of the race and can do so, you'd imagine, for another half a dozen laps at least. But in comes Flying Rossi to the pit lane, and his McLaren crew are waiting for him to switch him on to those medium tyres, and he'll need to make those fresher mediums count now. There's only a lap or two difference with most of his main rivals in this race. But if he can pull off a 16th to at least podium drive here, that would just be quite special.
Yeah, absolutely, it would be. But as we look down now, as we look to Kevin now going for the move on Iron, as he's following Adam Dude, who has got the undercut.
Yeah, he's jumped him.
Yeah, that's surprising. Adam Dude then looked like that probably could be the provisional lead of the race, because obviously Typical is now behind Iron and stuck behind him. So Adam Dude, wow, what an undercut.
Typical F1 trying it around the outside at Tozer. Iron isn't making this easy for him, and he has no right to do so. But ultimately, Typical F1 does get through there, and Iron does the right thing and just yields there. There's not much point fighting that one from a driver's perspective, and he will now look to get back in the DRS of KTFE Kevin. He's already closed a 3-second gap to the Alpine driver. There is no reason why he can't close just a few tenths to get back within DRS, and in fact he might just do so here. 1.018 it's saying, and there's the DRS detection point. I'm not quite sure he's done it on this occasion, but give it a lap or two, I think his raw pace is going to have these in the bag.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, he's just missed out on the DRS as we do see now Kevin come up close to Andrew. I don't think he'll go for this. He does prove me wrong though, down the inside into turn 1. Good move. But obviously, the problem is now with a move like that, Typical F1 is going to be nicely back in the fight now, which is going to be beautiful for Typical's race, because obviously he did lose DRS, but obviously the pace this man's got, like we've seen in that first stint, well, giving him DRS is a bad decision in my opinion.
Flying Rossi's not far off either. He's about 3.6 seconds off the back of Typical F1. But if these guys continue to battle, you have to say, don't rule him out getting into the fight as well. And obviously Cheetah when he pits, Steve F1, actually quite substantially behind now, Cheetah. But yeah, certainly Cheetah when he pits is going to have to make all these moves as well. So we're talking maybe a 5-car battle for the lead of this race.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a great end to this race. Obviously, right now we have got the 3 cars on the medium tyres, looking nice and strong, nice and things, but they're all got literally the exact same ERS. So I think it's just going to come down to strategy involved with ERS, because the problem is, like I said, it's so hard to save. So these 3 now is about who can be the quickest and who can time it right to that, well, incredibly long straight. And it's also going to be Cheetah. How quickly can he come back through? He's got 8 seconds to the rest of the old shot runners, which is mental. Like, because we saw how good Steve was at the start of this race, and for Cheetah to be this far ahead is very scary for the likes of Kevin, Andud, and Typical. But as we see, obviously Caesar, who's also having a bit of a poor race for his standards, I'm sure he would be expecting a bit more. Obviously, he's in P3, in DRS range, just about to Steve, but he has got a penalty, which is pretty much going to throw his race out the window, unless he can somehow make a lot of time as Halves 20th birthday race gets even worse as he...
I am so sorry. I don't believe it. My battery's died without warning. I don't believe it, but I don't think I've missed too much.
No, everything looks to be normal, ready for you to carry on, mate. The grid seems pretty stabilised as it stands.
We'll just check if these are actually charged. Okay, they are. I think we could.
Lovely, thank God for that one.
No warning at all. It just goes. I put the F word, the naughty F word, in the chat, and apparently my message was being checked by mods. So I'm not sure anyone really picked up on that either. But yeah, darted back up the stairs. But here we are. We're back. Adam Dude, as he was, typical F1, as he was. Obviously, the viewers didn't actually get to see any of that because it was just hidden behind the controller disconnected screen.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but yeah, I think the grid's looking stable. I think actually Rossi is kind of proved me wrong as it stands. Obviously, he went that extra lap, but he is still 3 seconds back, and being out of the DRS zone is huge. Luckily for him, though, he's not using the DRS because there's no point. His DRS advantage will only gain him about a second, in my opinion. He's got to hope that they battle. He's got to keep that ERS, because if he can keep that ERS and they battle, and he gets close at the end, which I think he can do, he definitely could be battling for the win, or well, even taking it with ease at the end.
TTM Caesar coming in early then, off the medium tyres, onto the softs now as well. Sam 29M has already done just that. Must have missed that one for obvious reasons, but yeah, this is interesting now. KTFE Kevin is just not quite on it at this point. Certainly his pace in the opening few laps was unbeatable, but now at this point he's got Adam Dude all over the back of him, and the man who I assumed had won Imola last season, which I was wrong, it was Flying Rossi, will look to take his second race win in the last, I think, four or so tier 3 races, based on Abu Dhabi last season.
Yeah, absolutely. And as well, it's a great comeback race from Belgium. Obviously, good pace, but the result was not there. And for him to be straight away battling up the front at Imola, I think he's just proved us all wrong. It's been a great race for him so far. Obviously, he saw 12 laps remaining, as we do see Steve F1 on the old strap now, and Squidge come into the building. Oh, and Cheetah.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see what Cheetah comes out.
Oh, Flying Rossi. He's ahead of Flying Rossi.
That's interesting.
That's one less car to clear.
For Cheetah. Wow.
That is big.
No words. Cheetah, on the fresh side, is only 2 seconds back, basically, from the lead of the race.
Are we talking a dominant season here for Cheetah? He's got that strategy absolutely bang on, and there's just 3 cars in between himself and the net race lead here. It's going to be difficult because, of course, Typical F1 and Adam Dude are both within that DRS train, if you like, of KTFE Kevin, and Cheetah joining up the back of them. It's not going to be easy to make the move straight away, but he's got to for his best shot at winning this race. I must also add Adam Dude, who finished 7th in last season's Tier 3 Championship, did take that win at Abu Dhabi. So if he was to go on and win this, which at this point is looking more unlikely as the laps go by, with Cheetah now in the DRS of Typical F1, it would be his second Tier 3 win in 4 races. So Adam Dude, will he think about going for a move now? Because of course Cheetah, it has arrived on the back of this pack. No, he doesn't go for it. He lifts off before the end of the straight. Typical F1 there forming a bit of a concertina effect. Flying Rossi 2.5 seconds back still, but this is the man we're focusing on at the moment. Cheetah, who has now got barely anything between himself and the back of that Mercedes rear diffuser. Just look at the difference in grip and traction coming off of Tosa turn 7, and Typical F1 is actually going to make that easy for him. He lifts off, lets the Alpine through. That's 1 down, 2 to go.
Well, it's been an absolutely mesmerising race for Cheetah so far. We just saw the amount of grip he has over the soft runners. Like, he just flew past Typical there. Typical knew what was going on and smartly just let him go. There's no point trying to fight him. Adam Dude has got to do the exact same thing. He can't. There's no point using his DRS. He's just got to try and use maybe Cheetah to get past Kevin, and maybe stretch away and hope for a P2. Because right now, I don't see anyone beating Cheetah.
Hayne and Cass coming into the pit lane. Pit lane. Then, and Cheetah is lining up his next victim, Adam Dude. But Adam Dude is going to have to commit to the move here. And Cheetah, obviously teammates with Kevin. Kevin lets Cheetah through. And now it's a one-on-one duel with Adam Dude for the lead of this race. But on the tyre front, you'd have to put absolutely every penny on Cheetah getting the race lead here.
Yeah, he's looking mega strong. Obviously, he hasn't got much ERS, but obviously now he's straight away only one car ahead of him. He's a fly by Adam Dude on the next DRS straight, and it should be plain sailing from there. It just depends if he can get out at DRS range. It'll be so important for him. Adam Dude, though, is looking really quick. Now got the leads. I don't think it's going to get too easy for Cheetah to get away, but the problem is them softs are so grippy. They're going to be so hard for Adam Dude to have any chance. Like, it looks so easy for Cheetah. Flying over the curves now. Look, within 0.2 of a second of Adam Dude before the last two corners, we should see Cheetah take the lead of the race for the first time today.
Here we go then. DRS imminent for Cheetah. And can the Belgian driver go back into the lead of the race? He won last week at Spa. He takes the lead here in Imola. And Adam Dude is left for dead on the straight. And Cheetah now has just 10 laps between him and the checkered flag for back-to-back race wins at the start of the WOR Tier 3 season.
Yeah, obviously to that opening race win at Belgium after a shock Rossi DNF, which is, well, you never know. That it was just a home circuit for Cheetah. It could have been a one-off, but he has definitely proven it is not a one-off. It's going to be the start of a reign for Cheetah, he's saying right now, as he spreads the gap to 1.1 seconds already, which is mental. He's flying right now, and he wants to get a second race in a row, and considering how mixed up the grid looks right now, he could get a lovely championship league going into round 3.
Absolutely. I don't think anyone's really stopping him at the moment. His closest rival, Caesar, you have to say, obviously finishing second at Belgium. It's the obvious thing to say is, well, I was going to say, net 7th. But with Squidge's time penalty there, he's back up to 6th place. Cheetah setting the fastest lap on the end of lap 23 as well. Great pace being shown here, as you would expect. And Cheetah looks to get it done and go.
Yeah, absolutely. He's done really well there. Just straight away pass, and he's just got to utilise his softs. But obviously, yeah, Cheetah's done beautifully. It's what happens when he's done the ult strat at the front of the grid. It's really mixed everything up. I think Kevin did the right thing and started on the softs and that. Same about Adam Dude, but the problem is Cheetah's has so much pace today that I don't think they could have really stopped him. But as we look down the start of the grid now, we see Rossi still about 2 seconds off. He's just really he has got a fresher tyre, but only by a lap. And I do think he should have been that 1 lap earlier, because the problem is, like I said, the RS is so important, and he just has none of it. And he's had to use his ERS because he wants to get close and he just can't. And we see Caesar on his own in P6 with a penalty. He is definitely the closest championship rival to Cheetah as it stands, but problem is for Caesar, he's out of DRS range as well, and he doesn't look to be getting any better than 6th today.
It doesn't. But the best he can do really is hold on to that, because, you know, a great run of good point scoring finishes will make the difference come round 15 at Brazil in May. And KTFE Kevin is still going to be lining up this move for P2, you have to say. So still definitely a 1-2 on the cards for Alpine, which would just be difficult to stop them going on to dominate the Constructors' Championship at this stage.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm just looking down the grid now. We've got so many people out of position, and it's really just shown like what this season's like. Obviously, no one's safe this season. No one can get comfortable because, well, let's be honest, it's such a tough grid for everyone, and any mistake is so vital right now. And obviously, looking outside the top 10, we've got huge names of Harv, Humperdinck, Raki, and Mays, Savoya, which, we expect pretty much all of them to be battling to either win top 10 positions. And it's really shocked me about, how easy it is to make a mistake. Like, there's so much pressure in this race. It's proven that the season's going to be really competitive, and they've got up their game.
Oh, Kevin! He thought once, he thought twice. He did try and go up the inside of Adam Dude. Adam Dude, I'm not quite sure what he was trying to do there in terms of defence. He didn't look like he was taking that corner at full commitment either. So, yeah, this battle looks now really interesting, as actually Adam Dude has pulled away about 5 or 6 tenths extra here. So, interesting circumstance here. Blackie at the back picking up time penalties. Just take a quick peek at the penalties, because of course Caesar, Squidge and Steve F1 all have 3-second time penalties to their name, and at the moment that should not affect anything in terms of results. But we're about to see a straight fight on the track between Squidge and Caesar. Every other penalty given out is outside of the top 10, so that won't affect point scoring matters.
Yeah, absolutely. But with all this battling going on, like I said, it has now brought in Rozzy. Rozzy's been patient. And unfortunately, just missed out with DRS, but he is only 1 second back now. As you look to see typical, kind of right up behind Kevin now. Will he go for the move into turn 1? It will be a bit of a lunge. He is. Ooh, he did look for the move. He has put Kevin No deep into the corner. He got nice on the switch back over turn 3 curve, but obviously no move into turn 4. But no, definitely great battling here from Kevin and Typical, and Rozzy looks to be joining in on the party very soon.
Yellow flag, that's at the back, that's FRT Blackie. I don't think he's crashed out there, coming through turn 9 Piratella, where these guys are about to reach. So no dramas going on. Yeah, that might be a problem.
Happens. But yeah, Blackie, very unfortunate race. I did say.
Oh, Half has crashed out. Half does crash out. Could this be a late safety car? It is. Unbelievable. Just as we thought FRT Blackie was safe. Just as we thought we were going to escape a late race safety car. Half completes the Aston Martin double disaster class for a second week in a row. And we have our safety car. Into the pits comes Adam Dude. Into the pits comes Typical F1. Flying Rossi staying out. Adam Dude also went in there, so some of the medium runners are going to take advantage of this. TTM Caesar is coming as well, as has Steve F1. Squidge staying out, and of course he has a penalty as well. It's all kicking off in the pit lane. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I can't believe the safety car is late in the race. Cheetah is going to be absolutely fuming. He did everything perfectly in this race. His pace on the medium was superb. His pace on the softs was even better. He was 5.5 seconds clear, and now the gap has been, well, put down to 0. Luckily for him, he has had Roddy stay out on the medium, so hopefully he's got a bit of a buffer there to try and get away. But no, Cheetah will not be very happy for that. It was a pretty much guaranteed win for the Belgian boy. But it's not over yet. It's never over until he finishes that finish line, as we've just proven with a lovely late safety car to bring the field lovely and close.
As that is the Humperdinck trying to unlap himself. Where have we seen this before? Cars trying to unlap themselves. Lewis Hamilton fans have just left the stream, but to be honest, who cares? It's a reference there to be made onto the set.
Well,
oh no.
Deserved, in my opinion.
Deserved.
Who do you think he is overtaking under the safety car?
Disgusting. Race ban, season ban. Who does he think he is, the Humperdinck?
I think he's the champion or something from last season. Disgusting. But it's just unfortunate. Obviously, if it was real life, he would have been able to overtake. Unfortunately, it's not real life. the game doesn't allow stuff like that, and she's just been shown the hard way. He had to go for it, obviously, because he ain't going to be able to do it with the lap down.
Yeah,
But,
exactly.
yeah, it's a horrible start of the season for the Humperdinck.
Round 1 at Spa, DNF and DNF for Aston Martin. Round 2 at Imola, DNF and DSQ for Aston Martin.
Yeah, it's been the worst
Says it
possible
all.
start to the season for the boys.
Says it all. Back to Cheetah though, and he has Flying Rozzy and Squidge as kind of his buffer to ultimately try and hold on to the win here. It's lap 29 of 32, and I don't think we're going to be in on this lap because there's quite still a scatter of cars rounding the circuit as we speak. So realistically, I think we're going to get a 2-lap shootout. There's not going to be any DRS. It's just going to be pure aggression, pure slipstream, pure racing for 2 more laps. Adam Dudes, oh my word, he's George Russelled it in the Williams.
My God.
Just a corner before, but Adam Dude, oh dear me.
That is demoralising for the Williams boy. He's probably trying to all the tyres, and just the tractor is just throwing him off into the wall there. He didn't need to do that. He was on a superb race. He's put onto the fresh soft tyres, and he just threw away a potential podium there. Gutted, Sandy.
Wow. Wow, that is not nice for Adam Dude. 29 laps of that. It ends in the wall under a safety car. I can't help but nearly break into tears again. But we are staying out for another lap. Bernd Mailander in the red Mercedes safety car. It's another sort of Imola leading the pack. And Cheetah has just got to keep those tyres warm. He's just got to keep himself focused on edge. Ready for a crucial 2-lap attack to the finish.
Yeah, honestly, the pace Cheetah has, and obviously Flying Rozzy on the medium behind, I still don't think Cheetah can lose this, but anything can happen now. We have got Flying Rozzy behind. It will be very aggressive. He will, obviously, I don't know if he'll go for the win. He'll definitely be very aggressive to try and keep hold of the podium. Especially with Squidge on that penalty, that's a free position for Rozzy if he can save in 3 seconds. So it's still looking good for Flying Rozzy. I think it maybe was the right decision to stay out, considering how long the safety car has stayed out due to all the cars being so far back. But this should be a nice and easy win for Cheetah as long as he keeps it calm off the restart and doesn't do it Adam Dude.
While I've got the time, obviously I've got to see the spreadsheet up for this season, and Harv has put his DNF next to his name once again. It's the only driver he's done that for at the moment. So, I mean, it's not the perfect end to his 20th birthday, but I'm sure he's had a great day nonetheless. Of course, he did vow to be talking to us in the podium interviews, but now
we have
is where it gets interesting.
As well.
Iron, oh dear. I didn't realise it was that difficult, but Iron is
Apparently
backwards.
it is.
Oh no! Flying Rozzy and
my
Squidge
God.
make contact, and I think that might well have been Squidge's fault. I'm not pointing fingers, and I'm not meaning that in any offence, but are you ready? Are you set for another crazy final 2 laps in WOR Tier 3? Cheetah has gone extremely early and is going to have Flying Rozzy in his back pocket coming down the main straight, and on the run down to Tamburello it's a long one, but of course there's no DRS in play. The field is now quite spread out. Here comes TTM Caesar on typical F1. These two are going to go wheel to wheel into Tamburello. This is for P5. Caesar opportunistic around the outside. There's a Red Bull there spinning of FRT Blackie. He's already a lap down, so we don't need to worry about that at this moment in time. Meanwhile, Flying Rozzy has kept hold of P2. Squidge has kept hold of P3. KTFE Kevin has 2 cars to clear before he can get on the back of his teammate.
Yeah, honestly, we're looking down to Kevin now, because I think Kevin is the most likely person to challenge Cheetah to win on them fresh soft tyres. But he's stuck behind the McLaren man on the medium tyres, and Squidge, who is also on well, quite a bit older soft tyres, and they just really block him off now. 1.5 seconds back. Cheetah look to have this, but can Kevin look to try and make a move on this? Because obviously, if Rossi gets that penalty removed, it will be for position. So he needs to get a move on if he wants to try and get a P2 here.
He does indeed. One more lap then here at Imola. Flying Rossi goes to the left-hand side, tries to break some of the slipstream. His Squidge is slipstreaming now the McLaren. KTFE Kevin waiting in the wings as well. Squidge pulls to the left-hand side momentarily, and that does keep the Alpine at bay. As it stands, KTFE Kevin will finish P2 and make it an Alpine 1-2, but he really wants to be after that McLaren on track, because if Squidge gets 5 seconds removed, he's still on 3 seconds worth of penalties, so he'd finish behind the Alpine anyway. And Kevin is giving it absolutely everything here, up the hill towards turn 9, Piratella, before they descend down towards Aqua Minerale for one final time, and Kevin gets a good exit, but there's just no way through, so he has to lift off, back out, and try to set something up, set a miracle up perhaps, going into Variante Alta, where we're on board with Squidge. Squidge breaks late. He's not going to be able to make anything happen there, but for the meantime, it's Cheetah plunging down now towards Ravazza. It's been yet another... Oh, Kevin! Kevin is off!
God.
Kevin into the gravel! And we've seen late drama again. He's collided with Squidge. And of course, I look away again as Cheetah crosses the line and does make it back-to-back wins. Oh my goodness me, what has happened? And Sam 29M from 20th finishes second, and Haynen Cass finishes for now in third place. What have I just seen?
Tier 3 delivered 2 weeks in a row with the last lap and the last couple of corners. Heroics. I can't believe what I've just seen again. I don't know what's happening with Kevin and Squid, but an incident has occurred, and unfortunately both gone for P2, P3 and P4, P9 out the race. That's so heartbreaking. But like you say, Sam 29M, huge shout out to the car driver. I think he will be demoted to third after Rossi's paint gets removed, but a podium nonetheless from P20 on the grid is a heroic drive.
Absolutely. This tier, man. Every final lap with just a few corners to go. Now let's do something stupid. It'll look funny. My word. It's done it again. WOR Tier 3. Let's get some interviews in. Cheetah wasn't able to join us last week. I hope he is able to this time. I'd love to get a word out of him. Let's get Sam29M in. Let's try and get Haynen in as well. And I might as well throw Flying Rossi in the mix as well, because I think ultimately he will have that P2 in the end from 16th. So great credit to the McLaren boys for that outstanding comeback drive. That is a team performance they can get behind, particularly Jam Pancakes, who might well be watching on somewhere or at a later time. And obviously Jam Pancakes made that recovery drive last week as well. Real resilience in this McLaren team. Unlike Aston Martin.
I think it's just typical of the McLaren boys. Obviously, every McLaren driver and the McLaren team, very English. So they will be doing some very English comeback drives, and they look to be doing it every race. Obviously, Rossi made a very non-English mistake at Belgium, but he does do very well to get, I presume, a P2 finish at Imola. So congrats to the very English man of Flying Rossi.
Absolutely. Let's see who we've got in here then. We've got Flying Rossi and we've got Haynen Cass. I think we should just get stuck in here. Let's get a word out of Flying Rossi, because, well, we were going to last week. It was pretty set in stone, but no. This time, a 5-second time penalty towards the end of the race, Rossi. Absolute mayhem. You trying to keep Kevin at bay. You trying to keep Squidge at bay as well. It was all going on there. But you've recovered, crucially, from 16th to definitely a provisional podium. if all goes to plan without removal. What do you think of that?
I think it was alright. Obviously, it wasn't a win, but after that shocking qualifying, couldn't really hope for much more than a P2, I don't think. And Cheetah was very fast again. I think only getting a second on him with a full lap undercut, so fair play to him. I think if I started near the front, I'd probably gave him a good run for his money, but I didn't. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, towards the back end of last season, you showed us what you could do. Not only here at Imola, where you won, but you obviously really picked it up, and that has transferred over to the start of this Tier 3 season as well, bar these absolutely out of the ordinary incidents. But you have to say, you still looking at maybe contending for the championship, even with these bumps in the road at the start?
I think so. I mean, Cheetah's very quick, which I wasn't expecting of him, so fair play to him. Yeah, I think him and Dan are probably going to be the main rivals. Sadly for Luke, he is washed. So, you know.
I mean, real champions don't try and overtake under the safety car.
Exactly. I was watching that, and you know, it's just how old he is. You know, he forgot the rules. So,
Not about there, sir.
Yeah.
Zach, any questions?
Yeah, well, absolutely. Well, first of all, I want to say congratulations, Mr. Rossi, mate. Yeah, it's fucking a brilliant race from you, actually, in my opinion. Obviously, I thought it was a mistake to go for the one lap overcut, but obviously didn't matter in the end. You stayed out on the median of the safety car, which was brilliant. But obviously after that, well, I presume brilliant podium finish in that race. How do you look for the rest of the season? Because I don't want to see another Belgian repeat.
Yeah, I think I got a decent pace. I didn't have an awful lot of practice for this race, and I still had decent pace. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Russia, but I think as long as I'm there or thereabouts in the top 3 every week, I think it'll be a solid season. If Cheetah can keep his pace up, then it's going to be very difficult, but I'm English.
Yeah, exactly. Like you say, mate, you are very English, and I'm sure you will not ever give up. Like I'm not going to say who, but obviously you never give up, and you will push for the rest of the season. And well, best of luck to you, mate, and hope you have a great rest of the season.
Thank you very much, boys.
Well done, mate. Let's move on to Heynen, who is the other driver we've got in the party today. I mean, you, Heynen, somehow you always manage to limp around in P10 all race, and then come a late safety car, come a load of penalties, you always find yourself provisionally on the podium. I mean, just how do you keep getting yourself into these situations? Is he dead?
He has no reply for you, mate.
Oh, I'm disgusted.
Exact
Leaving
flabbergasted.
QBR. I'm off. See you later.
He's back either.
Oh,
Is it better?
oh, nearly. Getting there.
Make sure to tick the box you haven't, Hayden.
He's always good with that.
I think it works now. Right.
That's better. That's better.
Yeah.
Yeah. The qualifying was bad. Just didn't get the lap in. Yeah, and I feel like on this track you lose a lot of time when you're not in a DFS train. So yeah, the gap was really big, and yeah, I really didn't expect to. I probably will drop off the podium, but even P4 or something, didn't expect that, of course. So yeah, lucky with safety.
Yeah, absolutely. And, well, pace-wise, you've not quite been at the top after the first 2 rounds. But do you still think there's an opening to push for the higher positions in the championship if, you know, you start at this point on your consistency, which, you know, obviously picked you up that P2 in the championship last season? Would it be a similar sort of story if you can just keep it consistent, keep getting points finishes?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course, I hope to improve my pace as well. I felt like last season at the end it went a bit better. But I know it. Well, no, for some reason. But yeah, I hope just to stay out of pens and races, and most of the time that it works.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
Come on, Zach.
probably say something to you, and obviously, congratulations on at least top four there. Um, Obviously, it's a very good finish for P14, obviously. But like you say, obviously, not being a DRS train is huge, especially in this game, especially on this track. Going into the next event, do you think you're going to have to maybe work a bit more on your qualifying, maybe make a bit more of a quality setup?
Yeah, I probably have to work on that. I actually always struggle with qualifying. Yeah, this time it was just really bad. Didn't get any lap in. Spun my last lap, so yeah, I really need to work on qualifying, and then race will be a bit easier as well.
Yeah, exactly, and it should make your championship a bit better as well, but best of luck for the rest of the season.
Cheers, guys, for your time. And obviously, we've seen once again this evening Aston Martin are on the back foot. Alpine continue to lead by command, with Cheetah taking back-to-back race victories. Is anyone going to stop him? We're going to have to find out next week in Russia. Russia making a return to the calendar. There's obviously going to be a lot of mixed opinions about that one. Come next week, we'll start hearing the full focus of it. But what a great race once again. Thank you very much, Imola, and thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Been a pleasure again. Thank you to Zach, obviously, with his brilliant insights following his beautiful Portimao victory, which still nobody had saw up until 8 o'clock this evening when he posted it on his Twitter. But enough of the waffling. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.